What's up, Detailers Daily? This podcast is brought to you by our mates at Autofiber Australia, so providing the world's finest microfiber right here in Australia. As a professional detailer, it's so important not only to use real high quality products, but also real fine quality towels as well. I never thought too much into the microfiber, but once I started using and to test out the Autofiber range, I really noticed the difference in efficiency and I'm getting better results, and the towels last way longer. The Scrub Ninjas, coating applicators, drying towels are just some of the products I use, and they're well worth the money. So make an order today and use the code 15DDUP and get 15% off, and they'll even throw in a free product. So head over to autofiber.com.au or check them out on Instagram, Autofiber Australia. Thanks. All right, sorry, I'm back again. Before we kick off today's episode, I'd also like to make mention the boys from Chicago Auto Pros are coming down under. They're bringing their Detail Wise Academy with them. So we've got Jason, Eric and Greg are coming all the way over for 3 days of training. It's our friends at Steve's Auto Group. So improve your business efficiency skills, expand your skills with paint correction, ceramic coating, and scale and grow your business with their training sessions also. It's starting on March 20 to March 22 and involves business training, efficiency detailing, advanced detailing with polishing and sanding and coating. We always talk about the lack of training over in Australia, so I think it's well worth the effort, and the boys are making the effort to come on over and show you what they know, which I think is pretty damn awesome. So if you haven't already, head over to their carsupplieswarehouse.com and sign up today. Thanks. We'll see you there.
Welcome to the Detailing Down Under podcast, the place for everything auto detailing in Australia right now. Here's your host, Dale Guthrie.
G'day and welcome to the Detailing Down Under podcast. I'm your host, Dale Guthrie. So we're back. I can't really say another week, another pod. So we'll probably just touch on regards to that. So for those who haven't noticed or seen on the story the other week that unfortunately we're going to drop back down to every fortnight. We were doing week to week, which was good. And a lot of people love that. So it was really good. But at the moment with what I've got going on, it is quite hard to organise like guests and stuff like that, and then do a few of these while I'm around. So yeah, so we've just pushed it back every fortnight. I know some people get upset, but yeah, it's pretty full on trying to get guests and align with everyone, because everyone's busy detailing and doing what they have to do day to day. So we've just backed it off a little bit, but we're not slowing down, so that's even better. So we've got a fair bit planned in the next few months, and we'll continue it on from there. So this one's today we're in for a good one. So I've been talking to this bloke for a little bit, and it was quite good to get another product company, so a well-known company within our industry as a whole, so not just in Australia. So like to welcome Scott from Ceramic Pro. How you going, mate?
Yeah, good day. All yourself?
Not bad.
That's good. Great to be on here. It's a great platform for professional detailers and stuff like that. So, I guess there's been forums and Facebook groups over the years, but to have a platform that, purely has professional detailers on it and not a sort of a mix of enthusiasts like some Facebook groups, it's great to hear stories of other professionals.
Yeah, no, that's sort of what it was all about and intended for. So it's for the industry. So for everyone to sort of listen and learn and get to know each other as well. So I know it's connected at quite a lot of detailers in our industry already, just in Australia. So yeah, big or small, no matter how big you are, so everyone's chatting with each other, and that's good.
All with the same goal. So
yeah,
and common interests. So yeah,
and that's the other way we're trying to get into as well. Look for the enthusiasts as well, because we get a lot of enthusiasts, weekend warrior detailers listening and wanting to know about products and stuff. So I think it's great for that as well. So
yeah, that's it. Exactly right.
And they can learn off the professionals.
For sure.
So yeah, thanks for making contact and reaching out. And yeah, we're trying to get more brands on, like Ceramic Pro, and get the name out there if no
For
one
sure.
hasn't heard of it yet. So
I hope they have.
yeah, it is pretty popular even overseas, from what I've noticed as well. So it's we'll probably touch on that a little bit, but we'll with your background. So how did you start with the detailing industry?
Yeah, look, I guess I left school and jumped straight into an apprenticeship in truck bodybuilding. I always had a bit of an interest in automotive and hands-on stuff, so did an apprenticeship in that, and that went pretty well. But realised the pay wasn't that great, and and got out of that. So did a bit of odd jobs around the place. Worked with the old man who had a truck business, and from the age of probably 5, I used to help him wash the truck on the weekends, and I guess that's where it's kind of stemmed from, the whole detailing side of things. But yeah, worked with him for a while, and then kind of set up a business, um, what he was doing, but sort of interstate transport, as a broker. So transporting people's cars interstate, but being a broker for it and using transport companies to do that. So I made a website probably back in 2004, 2005, and that lasted about 12 months. And I guess that kind of set off a bit of a entrepreneurial side of things, and ended up actually selling that to a guy that was doing the same thing in a courier business. So after about 12 months, I sold that and started looking at the next thing to do. And obviously detailing was always on my mind, and had an interest in cars and stuff like that. So yeah, ended up starting a mobile detailing business in late 2006. Predominantly back then wasn't really big on paint protection. Everything was detailing and washing vacuums and the things that I don't like doing now, but that's the things you start out doing. But yeah, it was good. So you run around doing a couple of pre-sales a day, and back then wasn't big money. They were $180, $220 a job. So you'd be lucky to clear $2,000 a week, before expenses. But that was the times back then. And yeah, worked hard and almost worked 7 days a week, and do a lot of after hours stuff. We do quite a few universities, like fleet cars on Sundays, and washing mini buses, like tour buses, after hours at night. So it was hard days and long days, but yeah, we basically made it work, and was busy from day one pretty much. So yeah, I had that sort of, wouldn't say IT experience, but I had an idea of websites after the last business I started. So I was really into marketing and ranking on Google and stuff like that. So back in 2006 and onwards, there wasn't many businesses that were kind of big on that, and there wasn't really social media. So we were sort of ranking number 1 in Sydney for like detailing and stuff like that. So we were flat out, weeks on end just doing that type of work. So sort of, yeah, between 2006, 2000 and probably I'd say 9, we're predominantly just doing detailing stuff. And then yeah, there was probably polymer sealants that were sort of around then. They didn't last too long, 12, 24 months at best. Too much to my disgust, I was using probably Zano Z2 polish as a paint protection back then, because that was probably one of the better ones that lasted a fair while. Haven't used that for quite some time now, but yeah, so that kind of 2009, that's where paint protection kind of started to take off. And then I met Joel from ZAS, who was the Opticoat distributor. Just before then, before Opticoat, he started looking at Japanese glass coatings, which don't really hear of that now, but that's what they were back then. And they were pretty difficult to apply, but they did work. They were really good coating, way better than a polymer sealant in terms of durability. But I played around with him for a little while. It was about 2009 he became a distributor of Opticoat, and then I started using that. So that was a good product back then. That was a really good product, to be honest. And there wasn't many people around that were doing ceramic coatings, and not only that, consumers thought that paint protection was a bit snake oil. So it was kind of hard to sell back then. You're selling them something that,
They
that
can't see.
they can't see. And not only that, they've been fed some BS from the dealership. And, that was the sort of thing around paint protection back then, is that it didn't work and it was all BS. So a little bit harder to sell. But yeah, that took off as well. So, we've Opticoat for a few years before we found Ceramic Pro. But yeah, that was around about 2009 to 2011 that we used Opticoat. And we were doing a lot of cars back then too. So anywhere from 10 to 12 a week back then, as a mobile business. It was just getting crazy back then. And then sort of around that 2009, 2012, I was still sort of detailing and doing ceramic coatings. I think it was about that time that I started to phase out detailing, purely because, time versus costs and stuff like that just didn't make sense when there was so much coating jobs available. But so around about 2009, 2012, I met a guy that was an office cleaner in Melbourne, and he was doing a lot of detailing for Sydney and Melbourne international motor shows and journalist drive days and stuff like that. So pretty much scrapped the detailing back then, and the only detailing I was doing was for this guy that was doing these motor shows. And that was pretty cool, actually. Like, we were doing cars for Audi, Jaguar, Land Rover, Lamborghini at the Sydney and Melbourne Motor Show, between that sort of 3-year period, and also doing a lot of journalist drive days. So they'd actually pay us to go to places like Tasmania for 3 or 4 days and just wipe down a car every half an hour for journalists, and then wash them at the end of the day after their drive day. So everything was paid for, expenses, the whole lot. So that was a really cool experience. And we did that from probably 2009 through to about 2013, 14, 15. Go all over Australia, doing these jobs, which was amazing. So it was always something interesting to do, rather than vacuuming sand out of someone's Tarago, which I really hated. But yeah, that was a good gig, that one. Probably wish I still do it, because it was good to get away and mix with journalists and stuff. But it was around that sort of 2011 period that we became a distributor for Ceramic Pro. And back then, I think we were actually probably one of the first or second distributors of that product. I don't know how I found it. I must have just been Googling ceramic coatings, and somehow it's popped up, and, realized it wasn't in Australia yet. So I jumped on it. Spoke to them for a little bit, brought a small amount of products in to use for myself, while I was still using Opticoat. So I had to play with them for probably 6 months before I sort of jumped ship and became a distributor in 2011. So that's kind of where it all stemmed from in the early days, I guess, prior to being a distributor.
Yeah, wow, that's fairly good history so far.
Yeah.
So, what was the mobile? Did you just give that up, or did you try and sell that as well? And what was
No,
that
look, I
called?
actually ran mobile all the way through till about 2016. So it was about a 10-year period there of mobile. So in terms of coatings, we were doing mobile coatings for probably almost 7 years.
I was going to ask, how were they back then? Because were you doing them in garages, people's garages, or
Yeah,
outside? Or
look,
how?
we always had a requirement that the customer had to have a garage. And to be honest, 90% of people, if they don't have a garage, they'd just take it to a friend's place or a relative's place anyway. So, that was never an issue. You still read things today, people saying, I don't know how you can do a coating job in someone's garage. Well, to be honest, it's no different than doing it in a workshop, really. Like, it's an enclosed environment. So, you take your lighting, you take all your tools and stuff. So, there's little things that probably get to you after a while, like the customer standing over your shoulder for 8 hours, but that's all
Yeah,
part of it.
yeah. What are you putting on my car? Actually, like,
Yeah, that's right. Sometimes they think they know a bit more than you do, even though they're paying you. But
yeah,
you didn't really have that in the early days, because there wasn't much information online about coatings. Like, there was no YouTube videos or DIY products or anything like that. So now things are a little bit different. So sometimes people think they know more than the person they're paying to do the job. But
Mm.
yeah,
Yeah, right. Well, how was the Japanese coatings
to be
back
honest,
then?
it was that long ago. I can't really remember, but
Yeah.
it was the kind of thing where, uh, we'd put it on a car and then we'd have another one to try in a couple of months after that. So from memory, they were difficult to apply. I think we were applying them with like a little makeup pad. Um, and yeah, I can't really remember, but they were good products. They did work, but just nothing like that's on the market today, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. And then Opticoat as well. So yeah, they were like one of the first ones or first known ones really in Australia, so to speak,
Yeah,
from what I believe.
probably say they were one of the first. Yeah, like I think back when I started, Tough Seal was probably a very popular polymer sealant. Um, but in terms of actual ceramic coatings, yeah, Opticoat really, their marketing and products are actually really good. So, um, you know, can't say a bad word about that for sure.
Yeah. And obviously getting that gig with the motor shows, that's pretty special.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. Yeah, so I guess probably one of the standout cars was a Sesto Elemento that we got to do a Lamborghini that was on display. And little story behind that, it was brought in from Singapore, or the owner was from Singapore, and they Lamborghini Australia used that car as a display. Um, During that time, a Lamborghini dealership, I won't mention which one, went bankrupt or something like that. They were the ones that had possession of that Lamborghini, and they were going to get all their cars repossessed pretty much that weekend the motor show was on, and they were sort of the company that was in charge of that Sesto Elemento, and the owner found out and pulled the car from the show. So the car was on display for about 2 days out of 2 weeks,
Wow.
before the Singaporean owner pulled a pin on the car and put it in a container and shipped it back home before it got repossessed as part of the dealership's
Wow.
bankruptcy. So yeah, that was interesting, but that was a cool car to work on. And back then too, like I had quite a few customers that had Lamborghinis and Ferraris, and if you go back and look at my business from back then, I was kind of big on just posting exotics and that was it. So I always had a view that, a customer with an average car, if they saw me doing something exotic, they'd obviously trust me because the type of cars I was working on. Um, so, I really only posted those type of cars, even though it wasn't really what I was working on day in, day out. But back then, there was only sort of Gelatos and Ferrari 360s and things you probably wouldn't even turn your head at now. But yeah, to do sort of a hypercar in Australia that, was probably one of the first hypercars to come here was pretty exciting. But I guess now I'm not really someone that gets excited over those type of cars, to be honest. But there's guys that have been in business for 3 months to get to work on them now, which is,
Mm.
quite lucky for them, and exciting. So yeah, end of the day, I'm not someone that really gets excited about cars after working on them for so long, but I can
Yeah.
appreciate them, that's for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. No. Um so the range of cars back then with you, was it just every day, and what sort of jobs were you doing on them as mobile?
Yeah, look, mainly in the early stages, mainly pre-sales, a lot of pre-sales. So as I said, two or three a day. You work from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. and running all over Sydney doing pre-sale detailing. So that was the majority of the work. Bit of a mix of paint corrections as well. Wasn't much paint protection back then, so yeah, it was just mainly that kind of stuff. But yeah,
No, it's good because we had a couple of guys with mobile, and well, they've been mobile now. They got shops because they always say like it's full on mobile gig.
it
Like
is.
it's
Yeah, like the hardest thing is probably travel time, especially in Sydney.
yeah,
I couldn't imagine doing it now with the cost of tolls and stuff like that. It'd cost you $100 a day in a round trip. So especially not doing those type of jobs that are sort of a lower cost, but yeah, just the travel time. Like you can lose 3 or 4, 5 hours a day just sitting in traffic, especially in Sydney. So
wow,
yeah, but in saying that, no guys had shops back then. Wasn't so there was probably one guy that had a shop around about 2008, 2009 that was kind of doing the whole paint correction, and that was only just starting to come out back then. Um, and he was really the first guy to get a shop. But I guess that was because the price we were charging for jobs back then, just you couldn't sustain a shop, so
Yeah.
you just had to be mobile.
Yeah. No, that's interesting. We haven't heard too much about the Sydney market. Like we had Jace on the other week, but he's fixed. But yeah, mobile detailing in Sydney, I haven't really. We've had some guys from Melbourne, so we know a bit about that area. But
Yeah, to be honest, like we do have mobile ceramic pro guys in Sydney. In terms of how it was back then, we've guys just doing detailing and paint correction. None of them really had shops. Everyone was mobile. Um, but it was a good community back then. Like there wasn't many detailers in Sydney. I could name them on one hand. Like that's how many there were.
wow,
It's just yeah, and everyone was sort of everyone was getting into that whole paint correction thing, and um, websites like Detail Paradise were about. So guys that jump on there nearly every afternoon, do a full write up, like an article write up of how they detailed the car, what products they used, the process they did, before and after photos, the whole lot. So yeah, it was a good community back then. And we also used to have sort of every now and then sort of have meetups. We all show off our little mobile rigs and and the products we're using. So yeah, no, it was good. It was good.
like little cars and coffee.
Pretty much, yeah, before that existed.
Yeah. So you would have noticed with products how it's come along from back then to nowadays. Do you still keep an eye out?
100%. Yeah, like
Yeah.
doing a paint correction back then, I'm not going to lie, paint correction was a 2-day process.
Mm.
Now I like to think you can probably knock it out in 6 hours if it's in average condition, with the products and machines we have. But yeah, back then it was Dusty Menzerner, Ferrecla,
Mm.
Makita 4 kilo polishers swinging every day. There was no random orbital. Like a random orbital was a Ryobi sander. Like
Mm.
that's where it was at. There was no flex or none of those machines now, like forced rotations or anything like that. So, um, but yeah, it was tough work doing a paint correction back then, and especially at those prices. Like guys were charging 380, 450 for a 2-stage correction that you'd spend over a day on. So
Yeah.
I'm glad those times are gone. But
Yeah.
it was a good way to learn. It was a good way to learn. So
Yep.
um, yeah, it was good.
No, nice. And then so yeah, that's when in 13 you sort of got into the ceramic pro.
Yeah, so brought it in about 2011.
Oh,
And not being too many not being too many products on the market back then, it was very easy to find applicators. So we had people jumping at us to become applicators, and we still have some of those guys today, which is good. So, but yeah, it was good. We found guys very easily, and there wasn't many products on the market, so they did stick to sort of one brand, and yeah, it was a really good time. So.
do you find people these days are doing the same now? Like once they get on board, or if they've been around a bit, they'll stay. Or that,
Uh, yes and no. Look, I guess there's guys out there that like to use multiple products. That's the way they want to run their business. That's fine. But the way I look at it is that if you're selling something to a customer, yeah, it's good to give them options. But when you're giving them options of multiple brands, obviously you're going to have to say one's better than the other. So
hmm.
you're kind of saying one's not as good.
Yeah, yeah.
So why stock it? But yeah, that's just the way I see it. I like to give a customer 2 or 3 options in terms of levels of protection. There's guys out there that might offer 2 or 3 brands, and then they've got 2 or 3 levels of protection under those brands. So, there's 10 options there to choose from, and customers get confused. They don't understand all the terminology and stuff behind it. So, yeah, I think it's a little bit too much, to be honest. But yeah, look, most guys that jump on a brand, if they tend to stick to it. So, but yeah, there's guys out there that like to jump back and forth between products for whatever reason.
Hmm. Yeah, I think everyone still tries to chase the best product. Like they want the
Yeah,
best thing on the market, which
yeah, that's true. But I guess what's the best product? Is it the support the distributor provides, or is it the longevity of the product? Or some guys just get excited about the hydrophobicity of a coating, so or how slick it is. So
yeah.
at the end of the day, it's what you want to sell. But yeah, as you said, guys do try and chase the next best thing. But I don't think that's what the customer really cares about, to be honest.
No, and we hear that. We like customers just want protection, or they just want a coating. They're not going to go, I want Ceramic Pro only. That's all I know of. That's
Yeah,
all
that's
I've
it.
heard
Yeah, look,
about. Yeah.
there's even guys out there that sort of they don't even advertise a brand. They're just selling generic word ceramic coating on their website. So it probably goes to show that customers don't really know what they're buying in terms of brand. Obviously, some do their research and are pretty switched on, but most people just want to protect their car at the end of the day.
Yeah. So, what was there much involved with you to become distributor? I think you did mention earlier when
Oh,
we were
look,
chatting.
it was pretty loose back then in terms of requirements. We were one of the first ones. So besides you know, a pretty basic contract, there wasn't much behind it, but they were looking for distributors and we were keen. So we did have a bit of history there with other coatings and been around for a little while. So yeah, they were keen to have us on board. So product range back then, in terms of what they had is obviously less than what we have now, but the products we have now are still the same as what we had back then. So I guess you could say we've got about 12 years of, you know, uh, not experience, but like 12 years of reputation of those products and proven durability and performance. So obviously there's been minor formula changes over that time, but yeah.
No, interesting. So, is there much? So, the coating, how's that changed with Ceramic Pro over the years? Have your coatings got? Have you got more coatings?
Look,
And
workability, they've become easier. First one we had, the first generation, was extremely not hard to apply, but if you get a high spot, it wasn't a case of just polishing it off. It was sort of 2000 grit sanding to get the high spot off. So it
oh wow,
was it was next level hard. I, to be honest, it's probably they've obviously changed the formula over time as more applicators came on board and needed to sort of suit a wider variety of applicator experience, I guess. But yeah, obviously it's had quite a few formula changes over that time. Our original range is just that. So that's the range we've had since 2011, which is basically a 9H paint coating, a top coat. We've got the wheel coating, glass coating, interior coating, so textile and leather. So those ones were the original range, which we still have till today. But yeah, the formula has changed slightly over that time.
do you have any polishes or compounds? Does he have any sort of primers that work with a coating or?
We do have a nano polish, not something the guys really use. It's not really a correction polish, to be honest. So most guys would just do the correction with their normal polish or compounds, and then coat the car from there rather than using a primer. So we always recommend, as any product, doing a wax and grease or a panel wipe down beforehand. So nano primer is not something that's really necessary in the process.
Yeah. So probably, have you had any challenges of late with the supply chain? Do you have much dramas with that these days as well?
Not really, no. Like we're pretty lucky in the sense that coatings are a small product to send, so we air ship everything rather than sea freight. And we'll place an order with a distributor and we'll have it within 3 or 4 days. So our products come from Taiwan. We have a research, development, and manufacturing facility there. It's actually in sort of an environmental green zone of Taiwan, like a green industrial zone. But yeah, so they ship out, we get it within 3 or 4 days. If there's anything that we don't have, like PPF or anything like that, we can ship that straight from the manufacturer straight to an applicator if they need it sort of within the week if we don't have it in stock. So to be honest, we've in that sort of 12 years, we've never had supply issues or not have something in stock when someone's required it usually.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Because I always wondered, we're probably getting over that a little bit, but back in the COVID days, that there was a lot of supply chain issues with people getting products in from overseas. So.
Yeah, look, shipping slowed down, probably mainly shipping lines, but as I said, yeah, air freight was still pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how many installers do you have currently in Australia?
Probably got around about 30 now. We've always sort of maintained the same amount. To be honest, I'd say probably 80% of the guys have been with us for sort of 6 years plus. Um, we're at the point now where a lot of them have been detailing, and this is another thing. Detailing is not a long-term game, to be honest, as a business. Especially if you're doing detailing, your body starts to go after a while.
Yeah.
um, I tend to find that you see guys stay in business for 5 to 10 years and then get out of it. So I guess that's where I was fortunate that I sort of moved into a distributor side of things where you're not on the tools day in day out. So um, but yeah, most of the guys have been with us for that long. We've had a few guys. I won't go into it too much, but sort of they were with us for about 10 years and um, hit there about 40 years old, and both of them are sort of semi-retired purely from the success they've had. I'm not going to say that was from us, that's just from their hard work. But they're purely doing coatings day in, day out. So one of them started detailing probably mid 2000s and started same as me, mobile detailing business by himself. Got to the point where in the later years he had a shop and had about 12 staff. So I guess when you get that big, things start to get to you after a while. And he decided to sell out and retire and move to North Queensland and sit on his boat off Fraser Island most of the time. So he's done well for himself. But you do start to lose guys after a while purely for the fact that they've been doing it for so long and it's time for them to move on. But no, it's been good in the sense that we haven't lost really any to other products. I guess I'd like to think that's a bit of a testament to the support we provide and the quality of the products. But yeah.
No, nice. Do you see the industry like that now? Like everyone's just doing coatings rather than too much other detail work? Because
Yeah, look, I don't want to sound like one of those people that say back in my day, but but yeah, back in my day, it was a hard slog back then, and if I could have walked in the coatings back then, I'd like to think I probably would have retired by now. Uh,
yeah,
um, but yeah, like to be honest, coatings are just it is such a good thing for the industry in terms of business. The money you can make, the turnover time to make that money. You do obviously get your repeat referral customers from coatings, maybe not so much repeat as in you would with detailing or wash and vax, but look, to open a business now and start doing coatings, you could almost hit the ground running, to be honest, if your marketing's on point. It's and not only that, we'll go into a bit later, but it's not just coatings. Like you can add on the window tinting, the PPF, dash cams, all those aftermarket accessories. It's just it's just such a good thing.
and I think that's why the industry's sort of blown up in the last few years because of coatings and the entry level to get in and start up, and we have
Yeah, look,
everyone.
it was only probably a couple of months ago I jumped on Instagram and I started searching everyone's followers and stuff like that. And the amount of detailers that I come across, I was actually blown away. I felt like I was out of touch with the industry, to be honest. Um, especially when I started, and you could name the detailers in Australia on two hands. But um, you jump on social media now, and it just feels like there's one on every corner.
Mm.
It's just Oh, that's not a bad thing. There's always going to be competition. Just because someone is looking for a coating doesn't mean they're going to find your competitor, even if he is 5 minutes down the road. We've got in Sydney and Brisbane where we have shops, we have detailers literally in the next street across. And the customers that come to us probably never even considered him. They might not have found him online. They might not have found his social media profiles. So we don't pay attention to competition because customers aren't necessarily finding them anyway. So
Yep.
we just run our own thing.
Yeah, run your own race.
That's it.
The two shops. So you do have one in Sydney and one in Brisbane as well.
Yeah, so we opened the shop in Sydney about 2016. And we've got a couple of tinners there. Did have a guy doing mobile coatings for a little while, employed. while we had the shop as well. He's actually one of our applicators now, so he sort of transitions from just being an employee with us to becoming an applicator and having his own business. So we always like to see the progression of applicators or staff and stuff like that too. So no issues there. But yeah, so we opened that shop up, and I guess that was purely because we couldn't keep up with the demand of mobile. We were getting about 3 or 4 weeks booked out with coatings, and it was just too much to run around Sydney. And as I said, you get a bit over it after a while.
Yeah, right. And Brisbane as
Yeah,
well.
look, yeah. So that was we didn't actually start that till about 12 months ago. So it was about that time that I brought a shareholder into the business early last year, purely because just wanted to expand on the distributor side of things. It's hard to sort of run an application side of a business and a distributor side of business and act as a sales rep and everything else you have to do. So obviously, I needed someone to sort of have a financial or vested interest in the business to run a shop. I don't think you could run a shop remotely with just staff, unless they had a financial interest in the company. So brought him in. That's been a great thing. So
No, nice.
yeah, but yeah, so sort of between that sort of 2011 and to now, it's just purely been ceramic coatings.
Yep. So, do you have a cap number on how many installers or applicators you say in Australia you're trying to achieve, or?
Yeah, look, I'd probably say we may have shot ourselves in the foot in the early days in the sense that we tried to limit the amount of applicators we had. We had a lot of people inquire that we turned away purely because they were close to other applicators, and we always had the way we like to do business is that we don't want to step on anyone's feet. We like to look after the guys that have been with us already. So we wouldn't put another applicator on within a certain radius of someone else. So um, I guess in that sense, you say we did sort of cap the amount of applicators we had, which later on, we could have had a lot more than what we do now. But yeah, it was just one of those things back then that when you've got that many inquire, you do need to limit how many you have. We didn't want to sort of be one of those coatings that flood the market.
Yep. Yeah, no, we've heard that before. So,
Yep.
no, it's good. So, with your coatings, I think you say that they can be used on all sorts in the industry. So, what was it with
Yeah,
helicopters and?
yeah. Look, we've done some cool stuff. We've coated New South Wales Pole Air helicopters. They actually came to us, which is pretty cool. Purely for the fact, not so much they wanted to keep it clean, but they had a problem with the turbines on the helicopter sort of burning the paint or leaving soot and stuff that would sort of etch into the paint. So we coated those in sort of a aviation or industrial coating. It was sort of a high temperature coating. So that was a cool little project, sort of showcase. But yeah, we do have a range of products other than our automotive stuff. So, we've got a marine range. We did sort of have an aviation range. We've got an industrial range, and obviously the whole automotive range. So, marine's probably not a big one that we really tapped into. We have done a couple of boat shows and stuff like that, but in saying that, marine detailers tend to like to stick to regular polishing and waxing purely for the fact that it's they keep a regular customer rather than coating a boat, not seeing them again. But that's just the way the industry is. So
Yeah.
marine's not something that we really focus on too much. But yeah, it's something that we do have a range of products for.
Yep. With the industrial ones, is that the makeup of the coating is that would be harder or thicker, or how does that work?
It is, yeah. So it's not really a wipe on level off coating as such. It's a coating that you'd spray on like clear coat essentially,
Oh, yeah.
or wipe on. So it's a self-leveling coating. It can be used on pretty much anything that's sort of a hard substrate. So we don't use it too much. It's one of those things where in the early days we used to try and chase industrial or commercial sized jobs that were a little bit unique, just for something different. And we spent a lot of time working with solar farms and just really random industrial companies that had an issue with something and they needed to find a solution. But you can't find these types of jobs by advertising for them. So um, it was unique in the fact that there was just so many different industries that had an issue with things. Like there was a hay farm, a cotton farm down in Hay, that had an issue with static on one of their metal plates for a conveyor belt or something like that, and they code it in our industrial coding now just to stop that static effect. Just things like that. They're not things you could advertise for and get.
Yeah.
But just someone in that company has obviously done a bit of research and come across a ceramic coating and thought that might work. So we'll reach out. So yeah, look, there's been a case of we've worked with some companies like that, like solar farms and industrial type stuff, which is pretty cool. Another one is probably a government train project where they had an issue with graffiti. They coated they coated their doors and sort of interior fiberglass panels with our industrial coating, just for that anti-graffiti effect.
To make it remove easier if someone
Yeah,
did.
that's it. Yeah, just so it's just an easier cleaning process for their cleaners to come in and sort of wipe it down without using harsh chemicals and stuff like that in an enclosed environment inside the train.
Wow, that's interesting. um, Also, we'll probably talk about is there a PPF line as well, which I wasn't aware of with you guys?
Yeah, look, it's actually been on the market for probably about 4 years.
Yep.
Not something we marketed heavily here, purely for the fact we didn't have cut software, and it was just hard to bring something to the market that other competitors had an advantage of. We've kind of mainly focused on coatings. Now the whole brand is kind of a complete range of coatings, PPF, and tint. So, I don't know of any other brand that covers those three aftermarket categories. So it's pretty cool to have something that covers all those. But we do have a cut software in development. Has a template database of about 20,000 templates at the moment. So they're in the final stages of that, which will be released in about 2 to 3 months. So that's something we're starting to ramp up in terms of that side of the business, is the PPF.
Yeah. Are you seeing a lot of interest with that, with PPF? Or
Yeah, look,
ceramic?
yeah, look, as I said, cut software is the biggest thing. Obviously, XPEL and Suntech with the core program, the big advantage there. So yeah, it was kind of a hard thing to compete with. But yeah, there is a lot of guys interested in PPF. A few years ago, it is hard to do. So I guess a lot of guys stuck to coatings, and if you're flat out with coatings, you probably don't tend to look at other things too much, especially if they're difficult to apply. So yeah, look, there was a bit of interest there, but as I said, cut software was the biggest thing. So yeah, I think once we have that, we'll be hit the ground running.
Yeah, because I think there is a fair shift in PPF in Australia now. Everyone's trying to get on board with it, or
yeah, look, I think you
something.
still have that gap in price where customers, a vast majority of customers won't pay it, or don't need that level of protection. But it's like coatings back in 2000 and in the early 2010s and stuff like that, where people didn't know about it, and it started to become a bit popular. That's the case with PPF now. So if you're not offering it, now is probably a good time to start looking at it, or at least spend the next 12 months working out how to put it on.
Yeah, yeah. No, we talk about that because I've only been in it 12 months, but it's sort of I'm still new to it as well. And the thing is, no one around here really knows about it either, and
Yeah,
that's the thing now. It was ceramic coatings, no one knew that. Now it's like film. What the hell is this film you're putting on? So
that's it. Exactly right.
yeah, no, that's interesting. And also new products. How have you got in the way of new products and
Yeah,
anything
look,
coming?
we've got the PPF range. Just to jump back a little bit, we
Yep.
do have a ceramic coated range. We've got an instant healing coating. Instant healing film. That instant healing film actually self heals without any heat, so it has a 25-degree self healing effect, as opposed to say 80 to 100 degree for a standard self healing film. So we've got the instant healing film, ceramic coated one, which is also self healing. We've got a matte PPF, black PPF, matte black PPF. So there's about 5 or 6 films there that we have. We've also got a new one coming out, which is based on our ion coating, which is a PPF that will sort of, the top layer is our ion coating, which is coated in that. So, but yeah, going into that, the new product we do have coming out is Ceramic Pro Ion, which is a base coat and a top coat application process. That's about 4 times thicker than a traditional coating. So durability is just that sort of next level, as opposed to a normal ceramic coating.
Is that a one layer system?
Sorry, that's a 2-layer system, so
Two
a
layer.
base coat and a top coat. A little bit different technology there. Obviously, it's a ceramic formula, but it's based on an ion exchange technology, which I won't go too much into it because I'll probably just sound a bit silly because I don't know the full scientifics behind it. But yeah, it's basically a reaction between the atoms in the base coat and the top coat that sort of react together and basically create a more dense and thicker coating than what you traditionally use.
What's the recommended durability on that?
Look, I guess this is another thing. Like I hear of people saying, I'm using a 2-year coating, I'm using a 5-year coating, a 7, 10-year coating. I don't think you can categorize a coating by the length of time, purely for the fact that the longevity of a coating comes down to how the customer looks after it. So you put a 2-year coating on a car, the guy parks it in the garage every day and drives it once a week, it's probably going to last 5 years. You put a 10-year coating on a car, they don't wash it for 6 months, park it under a tree, becomes contaminated, the coating breaks down, it's not a 10-year coating. So I don't really like to categorize coatings by longevity or yearly basis. We'll say to a customer, I'd expect this to last 5 years or longer. Obviously, if you look after it well, it's going to last much longer than that. If you don't look after it, it's not going to last. So kind of puts the onus on the customer to maintain it properly too. You want to stress the importance of maintaining a coating. Nothing lasts forever if it's not maintained. So that whole thing around that longevity of a coating and advertising how long it lasts. And that's just to set a standard of different levels of protection, but it's something that I don't really agree with in terms of that. So it just comes too far down to how the customer looks after it, to how long something lasts.
Yep. Yeah, it is hard one to sort of break down, I guess. But one thing I do say to customers is how long you expect them to keep the car for and stuff like that. So we sort of work around a package around that. And then
That's it.
Maintenance is huge with coatings. You can't just
Exactly
forget.
right. Like, so, we've got cars that we've seen 8 years out of, and there was a post a few weeks back on a detailing group, someone saying coatings don't last past 2 years and whatever else. And this is the thing with Facebook groups, you get a lot of enthusiasts on there that probably haven't been doing it for too long, or someone voices their opinion based on different things they've read or heard. So look, I think coatings can last a long time. I've seen even Opticoat last 8 to 9 years. That was a very well maintained car. I've seen our products last 8 to 9 years. Again, very well maintained car. We've seen cars come in after 12 months and they're destroyed. So it's very hard to put a timeline on something when you don't know how the customer's going to maintain it.
Yeah, no, exactly. Do you guys have a maintenance line, or once the customer gets the car, what do they have to do?
Yeah, look, we've got an aftercare spray. We've got multiple aftercare sprays. One's a water-based sort of ceramic top-up spray that we sell retail. We've got one that's more for the applicators, which is a solvent-based ceramic spray. So in terms of that, we do. In terms of car washes and stuff like that, we don't have a range. We stick to sort of coatings and film, really. We're not in the business of creating a retail line of products, even though they do complement your range of coatings. It's just not something that they're really interested in.
Yeah, that's different because most others will have like a full line.
Look, I think products like G Technique, that's that does set them apart. They do have a retail sort of detailing product range, which also gets their name out there pretty good. there's an advantage there to that. But yeah, in terms of what we do, we stick to sort of coatings and film, and we don't say that you have to use any specific product to maintain it.
No, that's good. So I'll touch back with the installer side of things. So how do you choose the obviously the installers, like they obviously got to have a geograph sort of location area with not within a radius, but is there anything else? Do they need to be fixed, or
No, look,
is there
we're
a lot
we're
of mobile?
we're open to mobile guys as well. Obviously coming from that background, if it
Mm.
can be done properly. Um, but yeah, in terms of installers, we don't have a set requirement. Obviously, if you don't know how to apply ceramic coating, we provide training. That's always important. If you're someone that's been using a ceramic coating previously, we'd still give you a rundown of our products and either show you in person the application process, because every product's different. But yeah, like if you're a new guy that's only been in business 3 months, we're still happy to talk. Like, you know, personally myself, I've been in it that long. I like to help guys grow their business. And for me, I still get joy out of detailing a car, but I probably get more joy out of helping someone's business grow. That's kind of life changing for someone. It can
Mm.
be.
Yep. So do you offer the training on site in Sydney, or how does that normally work?
Look, in the early days, I used to jump on a plane and shake hands, and not that I wouldn't do it now, but
Mm.
you more so do it back then. Now it's kind of like most probably coding companies where you hold a group training event or get the applicator to come to us. But yeah, like we used to jump on a plane and go and meet guys and show them the products firsthand. So
Yeah. No, nice. Obviously you've been to SEMA as well.
yeah, been there twice, 2013 and 2016, which was good. Wish I could go again. It's been a little while since I've been,
Yeah.
and things have probably progressed a bit there, even though it was huge when I went before, and you'd have sore legs at the end of the day. But yeah, yeah, it was a good experience just to sort of meet other detailers and see products firsthand, I guess.
Yep. And that's where I think Ion, that's you guys last year released that from SEMA, wasn't it?
We did, yeah. So we try and sort of release a new product every time we go to SEMA. I can't remember what they released in the early days, but we've had quite a few smaller products we've released, like PPF and vinyl coatings, different ranges of film, window tint, and then yeah, just last year was the ion coating. Sorry, yeah, last November. Um, but yeah, unfortunately, I didn't get to go to that one. But yeah, no, they put on a big display over there, as do most, product manufacturers at SEMA.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, they always try and do something that's a little bit more unique in terms of, the cars they have on display or someone they might collaborate with, just to try and stand out from everyone else there.
Yeah. I think that with your film, that seems fairly having it coded by the what you actually sell, which is I don't really hear much of with the coded film. Like most people don't just say it's coded; they don't really say what it actually is.
Yeah, look, I think the biggest thing is obviously most PPFs are hydrophobic. You still tend to find that guys are putting a coating on top of the
Mm.
PPF. That comes at an expense if you're not charging the customer for it. So to have a film that has the coating sort of infused on it already during the manufacturing process, that's pretty cool. It just cuts down the time that you're spending on a car.
Yeah, yeah, no, that's a good idea. I might touch on one more that you sent through. I don't know if you want to talk about it, but you're bringing some other products in Australia.
Yeah, look, we're bringing a range of products called Americana Global. So they're a range of correction products, so polishers and compounds and pads, and also an aftercare range of products. That just kind of complements what we sell with the ceramic coatings. And it's actually owned by Ceramic Pro America. I think it's been over there for about 5 or 6 years, and they bought it off the previous owner and then kind of revamped the whole product line. So yeah, it has a range of compounds and polishers, ceramic shampoos, interior cleaners, the whole lot. So yeah, we should be receiving the first shipment in a couple of weeks.
Okay.
But yeah, they look like a really, really good range of products, and from what we've used so far, they do perform very well.
Yeah. Yeah, I haven't. I did look it up when you sent it through, and I'm like, oh, yeah. I've never heard of them, but yeah, they do have a fair range. So that,
Yeah, look, in the early days, like I had an interest in starting an online store as well, but back then there was probably, to be honest, maybe three. There was car care products, ZAS. It might have been just before Detail Central came on board, selling products, but back then the industry wasn't as big, and you kind of looked at it and went, "Oh, I don't see any growth in an online store." There's, they've got the products covered already, but now you look and there's probably, I don't know, 6 or 8
yeah,
detailing online stores, and some of them do sell the same products, but yeah, the amount of products out there now is phenomenal.
yeah, it's great. Will that how will that how will you go with selling them? Will that be a store, or will you go into them stores, or how's that work?
Oh, look, we have our own online store for that, so americanaglobal.com.au.
Yep.
Obviously, yeah, we'd be open to retailers selling those products. They're also available to our installers at a wholesale rate, so they can on-sell it retail. But yeah, most definitely, yeah, it's something we want to sort of get out there and, you know, get out to the masses.
Hmm. Yeah, and like you said, it will complement the what you do, because you obviously don't have your maintenance line, so that'll cover that, I guess.
Exactly right. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's it.
Yeah, no, that's pretty cool. All right. We might as well get into our 6 stage questions,
Sure.
because I did send them through. Even though you're a product company, I sort of will still give everyone the same questions, so
No, that's all right.
you can reflect back on the day, back in the day. First ever detailing job.
uh, this is funny. I was just looking at, when you sent that, I was looking on my computer at the photos, and I used to take photos of every single job I did, and I've probably got an album that has about, and this isn't even all of them. This is probably like 2 years worth of work, like 500 cars in this album. And I went back and had a look at the first one. Funnily enough, the first car I ever did was in the album, and I think it was a Holden Caprice. It was like a green Holden Caprice, and it had a scratch on it. And I went out and buffed the scratch out, and did a correction on it. So I think that was one of the first ones I did. And as you can imagine, first detailing job was a bit daunting, and that was a Holden Caprice back then. That was a big deal. That was
Yeah,
a that was
luxury
the top.
car.
That was the top of the range Holden.
Yep.
Yeah, no, it was good. Looking back at that album, I'm looking through, going, oh, I did a correction on a single stage charade that was like a chalkboard, and after I finished, it was like just this high gloss red. And the sad thing is, like, you do coating jobs now, and you look at it, and you're like, yeah, the car looks glossy, it's great, but I don't know, you don't have that same satisfaction as when you do a big correction like that,
Like a
and you can
trash
stand back.
trash
That's it,
car.
like a big transformation. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, especially being red as well. Like that would have been chalk.
that's it.
Do you have a favorite polisher?
Look, trying to stay off the tools,
Yep.
so I'm not really across everything that's out there at the moment. Um, in our shops, we use a cordless flex, which is a great machine. Um, to be honest, I don't think we really use corded machines anymore unless we're sort of doing a correction on a used car. So we use a cordless flex. I think the boys in Brisbane, they've got a couple of cordless flex machines. To be honest, in terms of polishes, I've probably used everything, like Roops Flex, had Shine Mate, Apex, all great machines. Some vibrate a bit more than others. They all achieve the same result at the end. But yeah, I think cordless flex stands out. I've used a Milwaukee cordless polisher.
I was
The
going
boys
to
in
like,
Brisbane have one of
yeah.
those.
How's that go?
Um, to be honest, in comparison to the flex, it seems to feel more powerful. Um, but yeah, it's not a machine that I've had a lot of experience with or done a whole
Yeah.
car in. So it's just something I picked up and used on a panel, to be honest.
Yeah. No, we've had discussions about how the cordless industry is going
Yeah, look,
with our tools.
I wish I had cordless tools back when I was mobile. That would have made a hell of a difference. There was probably cases back then where every week I'd do a car in a car park at someone's work or underground car park, and there was no power or anything like that. So the technology now of cordless equipment it just would have made a hell of a difference back then.
It'd be a fair game changer with the mobile guys if they're
Yeah,
not
most
already onto it.
definitely. Yeah,
Yeah.
most definitely.
No, I think it's yeah, good times ahead. I think with cordless, and I suspect Roops is in the process of making something with the 15. I don't know.
Yeah, you
You'd think.
think they would be. Yeah, maybe
Yeah.
something we might see next year at SEMA. So
Yeah. So they've bought their little one out, their mini sort of thing, but I'm thinking, yeah, they'd have to be working on it, no doubt.
yeah, that's it. Yeah,
Especially Flex have got one, so that keep going with that.
yeah.
What's your dream car?
Look, to be honest, as I said before, I'm not really someone that really subscribes to sort of dream cars or sort of anything exotic. Like I have cars I like in terms of, hypercars or stuff like that, but not something that I'd ever sort of desire to own. It was probably around about 2016. I realized, sort of been in business for 10 years, didn't really have a cool car, was into cars. So I went and bought an Audi RS6. So sort of anything that I kind of aspire to have or dream of, I kind of, you know, see it as a 12 or 24-month plan, something that I can achieve, rather than something that might not be achievable. Um, so yeah, I think, I don't know, like everything I sort of dream of, I've kind of made it a short-term goal, so I can work towards that. But yeah, 2016, I bought this RS6, spent a stupid amount of money on it, broke it several times. It was run like low 10s down the quarter mile.
Oh wow.
It was a quick car and a loud car. It was straight piped, downpipe, stage 2, the whole lot. So had that for about 3 years. Kind of got over being stupid in a fast car. Had kids. Realised I needed something a bit more sensible. So started to more get into sort of travel and adventure, and had a sort of a goal to buy something that was cool but a 4-wheel drive. So I bought a 200 series and did the whole mall crawler spec, 35s, flares, the whole lot. So yeah, got that. Had that for about probably 3 years now. Next one I've ordered now is a Silverado ZR2, which I'm going to set up as sort of like a touring sort of setup with a touring canopy on the back. But yeah, I don't have a dream car as such. Anything I dream of, there's a sort of, I set as a short-term goal that is achievable and can, sort of progress to.
Yep. Something to aim for in life,
Yeah,
really.
that's
Yep.
exactly right. Yeah, and that's the thing too. Like in business, you need things to sort of, you know, you need things to look forward to, and otherwise you're going to be doing the same thing day in, day out. Like you need to look for that growth. Be excited to sort of reach those goals. So it's always good to set goals in business, and once you achieve them, move on to the next thing, and then you look back and go, well, didn't realize that's where I started from.
Mm. Yeah, I can relate to that. We've ordered a new car and we've never had a new car, so we ordered one. I think with the way the world is, it's nearly cheaper to buy new than second hand. So
100%. That's it. Yeah,
that's sort of why we've gone down that route. But
that's it.
yeah, no, it's can't wait for that to arrive. But probably one for biggest tip for any detailer starting out.
Look, yeah, ignore the competition, set your own pricing. Um, you know, uh, there's so many tips I could give. It's probably clouded my head. Um, just thinking back to where I started, that, you don't have to jump in and offer everything at once. Start out small, find your feet and grow from there pretty much. One thing I will say is always make sure you're marketing. A lot of things I notice is that a lot of guys don't have websites.
Mm. Yep.
They're big on, and this is the thing, maybe because I'm a little bit older in the sense I've been doing it for so long, I've a little bit out of touch with social media, um, as a brand and as an applicating side of a business. And I do speak to some detailers now, and they're like, "Oh, I never heard of Ceramic Pro." And I'm like, "How could you not hear of it? We've been in Australia for 12 years." Probably because of the fact we do post on social media, every week. We weren't big on stories and reels and the whole thing, but I think, yeah, a website is something you definitely need. You need to look professional. You need to come across professional, on the phone and in emails. Um, that's probably the biggest thing. Yeah, it's just your marketing. You can sort of not pretend to be someone you're not, but you can look bigger than you actually are by how you present yourself, professionally.
Yeah, I agree with that. I probably want to try and get someone on with websites too that I do have in mind. But we did touch about it. Yeah, like some people don't have one, and they say they don't need one. I was the same.
Yeah,
I never had one
yeah. Look, I think
for a
social
bit.
media is a good thing, but you need to get the right following. Um, you need to get the right audience. It's a hard thing to achieve. A lot of the time, that involves putting your face in front of the camera, which a lot of people probably don't like.
Mm.
Just so you can sort of, put a face to the business. But yeah, a business, search engine optimization, reviews, my business, listings. Um, it really depends what you're targeting, to be honest. If you're trying to target coatings and new car customers, they're not going home and jumping on TikTok or Instagram or Facebook to find a detailer in their area. They're going to jump on Google and search for ceramic coating. So you need to be across all those platforms, I think. But yeah, a website and Google and stuff like that is a big one.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, well, I was the same. So we just done it just to look apart, and yeah, everyone probably should look at that. So
For sure, yeah.
as a business, yeah. So and I sort of like people go, oh, sort of, what do you, how much for this and how much for that, and I'm like, well, here's a link to our site. Sort of has all the information of what we offer and what we do and past jobs and stuff. So and
Yeah, that's it.
yeah,
Look, I think in the early days, I started using social media as more of like a gallery showcase of cars I've done, more
yeah,
so than a way to sort of get customers. Um, and to be honest, we still don't really use it to get customers. And we kind of, we do get Facebook messages for quotes and stuff like that. Um, Going back a little bit, most of our market are new car buyers. That's who we target for ceramic coating, tint, and dash cam installation. Um, we don't really target used cars. Our shops purely do new cars, and that's it. So, um, yeah, oldest cars we do are probably 5 years old, but yeah, we are flat out doing new cars that we don't target anything else. So that's just where we market our business. We kind of don't go into the whole social thing. As a distributor, it's something we're expanding on this year in terms of content and stuff like that. So, but yeah.
no, right, yeah, no, and you can get like ours is linked to my Instagram, so whatever we post there goes up on the site as well. So it's a good way to,
Yeah, that makes it
you can,
a hell of a lot easier.
yeah, no, and I want to try and I do have a guy in mind I want to speak to about websites, so probably to get it out there,
For sure.
to just mainly to show the importance of getting one. So
Yeah, that's it. And not only that, there are companies out there. And look, as I said, everything we've done, our website and marketing, I've done myself. I've just purely had an interest in it. Um, and have used marketing companies previously. Um, some of them were good, but they do get stale after 12 months. They're doing the same thing day in, day out for you. They're not looking for more opportunity. They don't know the industry. So yeah, it is hard running a business and trying to be all across everything. But it is good to know the basics. So yeah, as I said, we have used marketing companies previously, but it's something we like to do in-house ourselves. So even our sort of search engine optimization, that's something we do ourselves as well. And it does draw a lot of new car buyers in to our website because we rank fairly high in every capital city when you search for ceramic coating, Brisbane or Sydney or Perth. So, we've got an applicator list there. Customer clicks on our website in the top three. We'll see a list of applicators there, and we hope that provides leads and customers for our applicators.
yeah,
So yeah, we do like to drive leads to our applicators as well.
no, it's good. It definitely helps having the ceramic in your name.
It does help, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, most definitely.
no, awesome.
There's some coatings out there with some different names, that's for sure.
Yeah, yeah,
But yeah, definitely helps when the ceramic word is in the name, that's for sure.
yeah. No, it's good. And interests outside of detailing as well.
Look, mate, probably family, to be honest. Um, yeah, besides that and fishing
Oh
and
yeah,
boating,
yep.
got got a jet ski, which I don't use. It's got about 9 hours on it in about 4 years. Um, so that'll probably go soon. But yeah, look, I bought that just for a bit of fun on the weekend. Being a detailer, you don't have time. If you're not washing someone else's car, you're washing your own. But yeah, look, mate, to be honest, I don't work weekends now. In the early days, it was 7 days a week, hammer and tong the whole time. But now trying to cut back a bit. Kids are growing up, so yeah, if I can do the school drop off, that's a good thing. But yeah, probably fishing and boating are the thing I like to do when I can get out and do it.
And obviously, you set your new four-wheel drive up to do a bit of off-roading.
Yeah, look, COVID, like everyone, was a bit of a reset, I guess. I did a bit of traveling sort of during that period when you could. Business wasn't slow, but it just gave me the opportunity to sort of get away during that time. So that kind of sparked a bit of traveling in our own backyard rather than going overseas like most people. But yeah, so just something I love, just traveling and being on the water, I guess.
No, it's good, especially in Sydney.
Yeah, well, I wish I was in Queensland. It's probably a bit nicer up there, but I try and get out of Sydney.
Yeah, no. All right. Well, if anyone wants to make contact with you, mate, how can they do that?
Yeah, look, jump on our website. It's ceramicpro.com.au. There's a big banner on the front that says "Become an applicator." So you can click on that, or if you want to become an applicator, or shoot us a message via the contact page if you have any questions. Reach out on socials, Ceramic Pro AU on Instagram and Facebook. Any of those platforms will respond on. So happy to have a chat. Now, even if you're someone that's not necessarily looking to, join Ceramic Pro, you're just after a bit of business advice or something like that. Yeah, for sure. Happy to have a chat.
Have you got install? Is there a sort of an area that you sort of would like to feature a bit more in another state, or are you sort of pretty well spread, do you reckon?
Look, we probably only state we don't have an applicator is Tasmania. We have applicators everywhere, Darwin, Canberra, obviously Sydney, Brisbane, Perth, Adelaide. So, yeah, look, obviously there's voids in those areas. They're all big capital cities. There's areas where we could put people on. So, yeah, happy to chat to anyone.
No, it's good. So, it's sort of, it's good having product companies on, and I know other pods do like product spotlight. So that's something that we want to get into
we are
as well.
looking at holding, so our Brisbane facility, we have the unit next door, which is purely going to be sort of a training facility. And that's the thing too. I think the industry has a bit of a void in terms of skilled labor. There are a lot of companies out there doing training. But I think we just want a consistent training event where we're training people not just to use our products, but to train people to become skilled labor. And it's a hard industry to find staff. No one aspires to be a car washer unless you own your own business. So, to find an employee is hard. But I think if you can, get some skilled labor out there in terms of PPF, that'll help the industry as a whole.
Yep. We're on that sort of mission at the moment with training. In Australia, I don't think, we don't have a huge amount. So that's sort of why we're even with the guys from Chicago coming over, we're talking about that as well. And but it's good to know that you're going to hold something, which is good.
Yeah, look, we're going to hold 3 separate sort of training modules, I guess. So one based on coatings, PPF, and tinting. Depending on if you're an applicator of Ceramic Pro, there are business sides to that module as well in terms of marketing and stuff like that. So, but yeah, something we're looking at doing probably May or June onwards.
Yep. No, it's good. Oh, that's interesting to know for anyone out there. So, no, it's awesome.
Sure.
All right, Scott, we might wrap it up.
No
Thanks
worries,
for your
mate. It's
time.
been great to chat. Really appreciate the platform you created for detailers like myself. So,
yep,
it's been great.
No, and that's sort of the idea of it. And unfortunately, we're every fortnight. But I think, what did I say the other week? Quality over quantity or something like that. So
yeah, that's it.
Yeah, we will.
I'm sure there's enough great detailers out there, but whether they want to jump on a podcast or not, it's probably a different story.
Yeah, no, it's not everyone's cup of tea. Want to talk about themselves or what they do, but yeah,
that's it. Yep.
But yeah, surprisingly enough, yeah, a few are on board with me.
Look, I think ego aside of any detailer, I like listening to podcasts where people talk about where they've come from and what they've achieved. I'm not really someone that listens to podcasts for a motivational side of things, like a Gary Vee or a David Goggins or whatever else. I'm someone that will listen to a podcast and hear someone's story, of where they've come from. So that kind of inspires me to sort of push to the next level to see what someone else has done as well. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think, and that's the thing. It's not, like telling the story. I always say, come on and tell your detailing story or where you ended up from. So yeah, I think it's pretty cool. I hope to have I've got a day off in Melbourne coming up as well. So I've reached out to one company down there. So I'll take my equipment on the road and we'll swing by. And I'll probably swing by a few other detailers down there.
Yeah, nice.
And drop in. So that's the something else I'm trying to chase. So yeah, I do a lot of flying. So if I can fly somewhere else or be somewhere, that's all part of it. So
yeah, that's it. Yeah, nice.
Get out and about, and not everyone has time to sort of jump online. I feel if I can go to them and go through their shop with them or whatever and talk, it might make them a bit easier for them to get their voice out there, sort of thing.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, nice.
So, all right, we'll wrap it up, and thanks for listening, guys, and thanks, Scott, for your time. And
appreciate it, mate. As I said, anyone wants to reach out, happy to have a chat. And yeah.
No, it's good to have a brand like Ceramic Bro on the pod. So yeah, it's been good. Thanks for that.
Awesome, mate. And we can talk again soon.
Absolutely. All right. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Dale.
Cheers, mate. See ya.
Cheers, mate. Bye.
That was another episode of the Detailing Down Under podcast. Subscribe now for everything auto detailing in Australia.